Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. I wanted to do another video just to follow up with some of the thoughts and ideas that I presented and perhaps expand on them a little bit, give you a little bit more of a background of what's going on and what to kind of do and why this is happening, because there were a lot of subjects that I kind of brought up and I kind of just quickly mentioned them and went on to the next one. So hopefully this video will be a little bit more informative, and it is entitled Australia While You Were Sleeping. Because what occurred on the 25th of Kislev according to the Hebrew calendar and the 40th December according to the secular calendar was kind of like Australia waking up from an ancient slumber and being told in a very kind of hurried way that they have stage 4 cancer, and coming to terms with what that means. And so this is where we're at. And as I entitled the last video, the horse has already bolted. Yes, it is too late, but it's not too late for you to do what you can do to mitigate the damage and also be found on the side of righteousness, or the side of the right side, rather than being found caught up in this battle on the wrong side of the fence. Because the sort of media machine has been going hard even prior to COVID. I eventually had to move back home 2016, 17, after a messy separation which led to a divorce. And I was living with family members, and the subject came up about Islam, and it really shocked me to see how two people that I know haven't really had much to do with Islam lied to my face and told me that they'd read the Quran, which I know they have not, and then proceeded to do whatever they can to defend that religion, despite the fact that their ideologies are completely askewed, and that religion in no way tolerates their ideologies or their behavior according to their ideologies, to the point that they would both be executed. And so this is what we're seeing, and we saw that culminate with the Bridge March, with the the LGBTQ community walking arm in arm with pro-Palestinian Arabs, Muslim Arabs, essentially Palestinians, if you want to call them that, and they have two completely opposite ideologies, and one of those groups enforces their ideology by the sword if they were in power, if they had their full power. But on the day, that was both suspended because of the uniting drive of anti-Israel, anti-Jewish sentiment, and to sort of bring that home. And they were chanting a lot of things that were negative, to say the least, about Israel. And that, with the weekly marches and the social media and the internet in general, and even television stations, news networks, have all been playing their role perfectly to allow this momentum to be picked up and maintained of a default natural disdain toward Israel in the average Australian. And this is leading to anti-Semitic violence, and we have a religion that's completely opposed to Judaism there along the way, fanning the fire and lighting the torches. And so you have to understand that Islam, not extremist Islam, but Islam is geared toward the annihilation of the state of Israel and the killing of all Jews. That is in the Hamas Charter, the 1988 Charter. They since put out another charter that was worded with a little less direct anti-Semitic feeling in the actual text itself. But the original charter speaks of going to kill the Jews, and that the fact that the reality, or what they perceive as there being a reality coming, that the trees and the stones will cry out that there is a Jew hiding behind me, come and kill him. And so the curriculum in Islamic schools, not so much in Australia because they have to keep, they have to watch their P's and Q's still to a degree, but in the Islamic world is geared toward having a hatred, nurturing and rearing a hatred for Israel and Jews. And, you've probably seen some videos of kids saying, Muslim Arab kids saying some pretty horrific things about Israel. We've got the pro-Palestinian, the Palestinian Action Group has really taken a hold of our universities, has taken a hold of everything. Now, I think it's wrong to say that it's those guys that have taken, they're just one arm of the mechanism. So let me just correct myself there. They're one arm of the mechanism that's sort of pushing this anti-Israel agenda. And it's eclipsed all other global phenomenon, upheavals or wars that are happening, such as the war in Russia and Ukraine, what's happening in Syria, what's happening in Yemen and Haiti and the Republic of Congo, what's happening in Afghanistan still and in Ethiopia, and there's injustices continuing to happen in North Korea and even in China. There's things that the government are doing that are terrible, and yet this little strip of land, with this even smaller strip of land called Gaza, which is a bit of coastal land, is taking up 99 or at least 95% of all the hoo-ha in the world of what's going on and what you should be angry about, what you can be angry about in the world. And so this is, this should be odd. This should appear as an oddity and an anomaly. How come this thing is getting, and people have cited this online before, it keeps popping up. People are saying, hang on, we've got a war in Ukraine and Russia, and Russia are a fairly, heavyweight nation. Shouldn't we be kind of more focused on them? How come, people have kind of, use their own rational brain to sort of work out what's happening. And yet, the majority of people still go, oh no, Israel, they're terrible. Even in my current circumstances, I am now living on my own based on partly, not entirely, but partly based on the fact that there is anti-Israel Semitism in the home that I was residing in. So I'm now living on my own, and I don't know what the future holds in terms of, me and my partner. That's how bad it is. And I refuse to reconcile things until the parties involved, come to their senses about Israel and, realize that the IDF, the Israeli government, is I was about to say corrupt, and they are corrupt because they're all secular. Most of them are secular, but as bumbling as they've been, they've really done their best to mitigate how they've handled the situation after October 7. And, they're really trying to just get back the hostages. And yeah, sure, they make mistakes, but when you have an enemy that holds up in schools and in hospitals and uses civilians as shields, what can you do? What can you do? They should receive a Nobel Prize in terms of how they've managed to mitigate the casualties in light of the way their enemy acts. And they're not following the rules or the laws of war. And so then it becomes an issue whether they're actually legitimate combatants. And then you go, well, does that fall under the Geneva Convention or not? And this whole idea that Israel have treated Palestine poorly has no historical evidence, because since 2005, the nation of Israel gave Gaza to the Palestinians to live in, removing their own people by force, using their own defense force, the IDF, forcibly removing some of its occupancy, or large majority of its occupancy. And from that day onwards, since the so-called Palestinians settled in that land, they destroyed all existing infrastructure there, businesses and so on and so forth. They gladly accepted free electricity. and free running water from Israel. But from day one, they started launching missiles from Gaza deeper into Israel, to the point which from that day forward to today, Israel have undergone the bombardment of 30,000 Palestinian launched rockets from that region. 30,000, that's just from Gaza alone. And so you wonder what constitutes a declaration of war if that doesn't. You know, people say, well, they're not as well equipped as Israel, so, you know, you can't go to war with them. That's not true. Just because you choose to attack a nation and you're under-equipped militarily than they are, doesn't mean that they can't respond in the same rules of war as any other nation who was equally or better equipped than they were. You shouldn't have attacked, knowing that you are undermanned. But this is what they take advantage of. They take advantage of the fact that Israel could wipe them out within a second. And when they retaliate, they then pull the sympathy card from the world, from the rest of the world. And the rest of the world, including Australia, have taken a hook, line, and sinker. They've taken a hook, line, and sinker. Understand this, that the Muslim community, Islam, I'm not talking about extreme Islam, I'm talking about Islam without any added words or ingredients. Its agenda is to annihilate, destroy Israel, and kill every Jew. Then after that, they kill everybody else who isn't them. And that has been their modus operandi from day one. In Australia, you need to wake up and you need to get involved and you need to switch on and you need to really get in there and refute all these, anything you see, refute it. Put a comment, that's a lie. Everything you see. If you see somebody waving a Palestinian flag in the street, tell them, you know, that's not even a nation. Why are you crying foul when Israel? You could just go take them to task. Now, I'm not advocating violence. I'm not even advocating protesting. I think protesting is a waste of time. And the reason why I think protesting is a waste of time is because not one protester has ever converted the other person of the opposite ideology to be convinced of their argument by watching them march down a street and wave loads of flags of their opposing nation in front of their opposing nation's onlookers. Not one person sees a Jew sees a Palestinian protest and goes, you know what, I think the Palestinians are right. I just love seeing all their chanting and their flag waving and their drum beating and everything like that, and people covered in blood and everything, and their signs against Netanyahu. I actually think, you know what, since seeing this march, I'm going to join them. And not one person who's not Palestinian who's seen a pro-Israeli march has gone, oh, you know what, I think I was all wrong. I think I'm going to become pro-Israel. Any protesting for that to garner like interest in your cause does nothing. Not one person in history has looked at the protests and gone, yeah, there's so much support. Look at all the people. Oh, I might join them. And I mean, unless you're near on brain dead, you know, it's never happened. It's never happened. Not one right-thinking person has looked at a protest and gone, wow, that protest has got so many people. I was against that cause before I saw all these people marching down the street. Now I'm 100% for it. Those of you that are pro-Israel, which I am, as you can quite obviously tell, do not waste your time showing up anywhere to protest. Show your support for Israel in other ways. There's a myriad of other ways. Financially, you can support them financially. You can support them with encouraging words. When you see them in the street, greet them with a smile and tell them, I hope they're okay. And if they need anything, that you'll help them. If you have a profession, make yourself known to a local Jewish community and tell them you'll give them a discount for whatever profession you can provide for that community to flourish. There's a myriad of other ways you can go about supporting Israel rather than wasting your time going to protest. For those of you that are religiously minded, start reading more Psalms. Start taking on extra mitzvot. Start doing an additional observance. If you a man and your custom, you haven't put on tefillin, buy a set of tefillin and buy a set of tefillin and put it on. There's a myriad of things you can do to increase your support for Israel, and marching in a protest is not one of them. It doesn't do anything. If anything, it just inflames the opposing people, the opposing nation, or whatever cause the opposing cause is. So get it in your head that Islam mean absolute 100% business, and they are not going to muck around. And anybody can do what occurred last Sunday. You don't even have to have training. You just need to have a rifle with live ammunition, know how to load it and aim it and fire it, and then reload it again. That's all you need to do. The idea behind a firearm is that it's low labor, maximum impact. A firearm is low labor and maximum impact. What does that mean? That means if you want to axe murder somebody, you have to find an axe, and you have to be strong enough to pick up an axe and swing the axe into the person and kill them. And maybe you have to do that a couple of times, and then you're going to have to fend them off as you're going for more blows. If you want to hit somebody with a baseball bat, you've got to put in physical exertion behind that. But with a gun, you just merely have to pick up the object. An old lady can pick it up, an old granny can pick it up, and aim it at the person, and then just lightly press on a trigger. Maximum impact. With an axe or a baseball bat, the person might be able to survive and have surgery. But with a gun, if it's at close range, it's unlikely. It's highly unlikely most of the time that the person even has a chance. And it's minimum effort. And so we have to now we're here. Now we've got 800,000 of these people. And I'm not just talking about the extremists. I'm talking about the moderates as well. Because as I mentioned in the last video, even the moderates, they provide infrastructure for the extremists, meaning that, like I mentioned before, a terrorist has a wife or several wives that provide conjugal relations to give him multiple offspring. They provide him with clean clothes, warm bed, 3 meals a day, and there's somebody that's the terrorist barber. There's some shop where the terrorist shops. There's some rental agency or housing agency that is handling the terrorist mortgage, or where they're living. And so there is an infrastructure that surrounds a terrorist, like a boots on the ground guy that has the knife, has the gun, and they're in support of his ideology. Otherwise, they wouldn't allow him to be supported with all the necessary things that a person needs to live. And so these people might not be the people pulling the trigger, but they're the ones that are allowing the people, the terrorists, the boots on the ground people that throw themselves in harm's way and yell out Al Akbar and kill people. These are the ones providing them with the ability to live normal lives up to the point where they snap. And you've got to be careful, because the terrorists that are going to come out of the woodwork here in Australia, they're going to have no previous or very minimal previous association with anything nefarious. There are exceptions to the rule. Mad Monis is definitely one of them. But with the father and son team, they had very minimal. They did have some association with extremist groups, but very minimal. So they had a very minimal digital footprint. And this is what they do. They anything that's said, it's in a room with no recording devices, and interactions are done in a way so there's no evidence that can be found going back even where they choose to meet and things like that, because they meet in houses and things like that. And so you do not see them coming. The idea of terrorism is that you don't see it coming. It's just out of the blue, and it's taken part in by people that you wouldn't have thought. I mean, even the kid's mother, the 24-year-old monster's mother, she said he doesn't drink, he didn't gamble, and he was any mother would have been proud to have a boy like him. And this is the whole idea behind Islam. They are obedient to their religion, and a lot of their religion crosses over in terms of what most religions accept as acceptable, as good behavior. You could argue that Islam is a more extreme form of Judaism. Jews pray 3 times a day. A Muslim person would pray 5 times a day. Jews teach their women to be modest. Islam makes their women so modest that they walk around like they're a telephone box, they're a post box. You know, they're just a little slit there. So it's Judaism, a really bizarre form of extreme Judaism. That's what Islam is essentially. And so you've got to understand that these people are worse than Nazis. And the reason is that they're happy to sacrifice their livelihood. They're happy to sacrifice their body, their mind, their entire lives. And not only that, their wives and their children and their relatives in the course of their pursuit of killing a Jew, one single Jew. This is why we have that audio of the October 7 of this one Hamas member ringing his parents and boasting about how he killed 9 Jews with his bare hands. Because this is the highest level of martyrdom that Islam, that this is the pinnacle of martyrdom in the Islamic world. So you have to be extremely careful. As I said in the last video, do not continue to engage any Muslim people at your workplace or wherever in conversation about religion. Because you're just thinking you're having a theological conversation with them, and the next day, one day, they could turn up and they stab you in the face. They stab you in the face like 5 times. Or they shoot you at point blank with a shotgun, which is very messy. Now, leading up to that, you wouldn't have thought in a million years that would have happened. So be extremely careful. Anybody that's engaged online with anybody, with Islam and having theological debates with them, and they know where you live and all that type of stuff, disengage immediately. You're off your head. They mean business. You have no idea, Australia. You know, I'm talking to you Aussie that's watching Netflix and going to concerts and watching sport. You have no idea what's coming. And you need to all unite. And you need to do what you can to stave off the tide of what's coming. You have 800,000 people now and the figure's growing. And you need to go, okay, all right, we're not giving this oxygen anymore. We're not going to tread on eggshells anymore. And we're going to call out any misbehavior that we see to any degree that we see. And so if you see anything in your local community, any Muslim activity that looks even vaguely, that smells a bit off, you need to contact the authorities immediately. You need to contact the authorities immediately. And just say, we're not standing for it anymore in Australia, and we need to have a hard line. We need to not allow Muslims, no matter who they are, at this point onwards, until we can get some calm, to be allowed to come to Australia, let alone a percentage of them. It's time out. We're stopped. You know, we're not letting any more in. And you need to act with that level of intolerance and prejudice. If you don't, you are going to get swallowed alive. You are going to get eaten alive. I am telling you the truth. And more people are going to die. And there are going to be more things happening, way worse than happened at Bondi, if you don't step up to the table, you don't step up to the plate and do something right now. I mean it. Sorry, I'm pointing the finger. Listen, thank you for watching the video. I hope this has been informative. I hope it hasn't been too heavy-handed. I know it has been, but you need it. Until next time, bye for now.